Today, we're making a cannellini and spinach spaghetti. All right, being that this is a spaghetti dish, the first thing you want to do is get some water boiling and get 150 grams, which is about 5.3 ounces of spaghetti of your choice. This one just happens to be a very nice white pasta. Cook it to the manufacturer's suggestion. Next is spinach, and for that, I'm just going to microwave it. This just happens to be frozen spinach. You can use fresh if you really want to. I just generally use the frozen stuff. It's so much easier.
This is a really simple recipe, but it comes out of an elevated experience.
Nice big ice cube block of spinach. I just throw that in the microwave for 2 to 3 minutes, get it nice and not frozen anymore. When your pasta is finished cooking, move it off to a bowl and reserve that cooking liquid. We'll need it later. Next is our veg. I have a whole onion.
If you want to be extra fancy, you can use shallots instead.
That's true. We never really use shallots, do we? A milder form of an onion kind of thing. And I usually just kind of cut it into slices. Nothing too fancy. Last but not least is garlic. How many cloves does the recipe actually call for?
It actually calls for 4 cloves, as you can see.
Wow, we have 5.
Those are kind of questionable of whether they're 4 or not, but they're large.
Yeah.
So I stuck with 4.
And normally I would like smash them, but it makes the camera shake. So I just smash them a little bit. Pardon the camera shake. And then just a quick, like a mince. I mean, you don't have to get crazy about it, but you know, the smaller pieces, just a little bit nicer. Not everybody goes crazy for garlic like we do.
Of course, depending on your preference, you can go lighter or stronger on both the garlic and the onion.
Next, the beans. These are just Goya cannellini beans. These are not low sodium. We couldn't find any low sodium at the store this time, and we didn't have any, but we wanted to do this recipe for you, so this is what we're using.
I will attempt to find a low sodium version and make sure to link that in the description below.
I'm just going to strain them. Every last bean comes out of the can. I'm just going to set everything to the side. Now, it's time to start cooking. Okay, well, now we have our cooktop set up. By the way, as I always say, if you are going to cook this at home, I suggest you do it on your stove, not on one of these little cooktops, because I call it the cooktop that could, sometimes. I have it on medium heat. I'll be adding in some vegan butter. How much vegan butter am I adding?
1 tablespoon, please.
I'm probably going to use just a touch more than a tablespoon, just because that's what came out.
We actually really like this particular vegan butter.
Oh yeah, it's actually lower in fat than some others. It's only got 6 grams of fat per tablespoon, which is actually pretty good for a vegan butter. As you can tell, my pan was not preheated. All right, once our butter looks like it's melted pretty well, I'm gonna add the onions in, get them coated with the butter, and start them cooking down. We don't really want a lot of color on them. We just want them to get translucent. And after a few minutes, our onions are starting to have a little bit more translucence to them. They're looking pretty well cooked. Time to add the garlic. Now, if you add the garlic right in the beginning, it can burn. And that's why I wait until there's that bed of onions to kind of protect it.
You can see that our vegan butter is bubbling, but not overly hot that it's going to scorch things right away.
Now, on the garlic, first, it smells amazing in here.
Yep.
I don't like to cook it too long. So one thing I'm going to do right away to start the cooling process is we're going to add our spinach. It was a 10-ounce package of frozen spinach, by the way. I did do the whole leaf, even though, you know, it's frozen, so it's kind of all chopped up anyway. At this point, I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. Remember, ours goes to 5. I have it down to like 2.5 now. Just want to break up that spinach. This is one of those dishes where color and the appearance make a huge difference. I mean, look at those vibrant colors already. The green and the white and everything. It's already working, and we're not done yet. Okay, at this point, I'm going to add in our beans. It's just 1 can of cannellini beans like we showed. And now it's time to start with our seasonings. What do we have, Derica?
We have 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast.
Okay, I'm going to sprinkle that right over the top.
Half teaspoon red pepper flake.
Now, you can use more if you want to, or less if you really don't want it spicy. It doesn't really come through in the dish as spicy, though.
1 teaspoon dried basil.
Okay, and now that we have it to this point, if I continue this way, it's just going to dry everything out. So before I add the last spice, I actually want to add some liquid. And this is our cooking liquid from the pasta. So I'm just going to put in, that's probably about half a cup to start off with. And you can hear the sizzle drops down to nothing. What we're looking to do is make what I call a brothy sauce. It's just kind of broth, but made into a sauce to go on this pasta. Nutritional yeast actually works as a bit of a thickener here and makes this really interesting sauce. It smells incredible in here right now, by the way. But there is one last spice that we did not add yet. And what is that, Derica?
Black pepper.
Fresh cracked, please. as much as you want. It's your spaghetti. Have it how you like it.
Speaking of a thickening agent for sauce, this is why we use the pasta water, because that pasta water has all the starch that the pasta gave off.
Yes.
This is like the super secret, any pasta dish. If you want to thicken it slightly, if you want to give it more of an unctuousness, use pasta water instead of plain old water.
I'm going to add a bit more. It's going to seem like too much at first, but that's okay because it's going to cook down. I did turn the heat back up to about 4 now. Now it's time for our pasta. You'll notice I didn't add extra salt to this because those beans had quite a bit of salt in them already, so I didn't really want to make it too salty. At this point, I'm going to switch to the tongs because the spoonula just ain't cutting it anymore. Now I can really get in there and move that spaghetti around, break up the spinach more.
What we're looking here is to completely coat our pasta.
And I'm going to add a little bit more of that pasta water. I just add a few tablespoons at a time. Altogether now, I've added, realistically, just about half a cup. Not even that much. You can see it. There's a little bit of liquid in there right now. I want to get that soaked up. After just another couple minutes on the stove, most of that liquid is gone. It will set up a little bit more as it cools. At this point, we're going to set up for the tasting. Be back in a sec.
And now for my favorite part of the video, and that's when we get to taste this. The aroma alone on this is fantastic. As you saw, this went together like no time flat. You could be like completely brain dead from a long day of work, come home, make this, and it'll just perk you up like that because it seems so special.
Usually about the time that it takes for the pasta water to come to a boil and cook, the rest of it's done and you just dump the pasta in, add the water, and you're done. But what's this other stuff you got?
This is shaky cheese.
We actually have a video on how to make this. It's essentially cashews and salt with nutritional yeast.
So it is our Parmesan replacement, and it works fantastic. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit on there. I'll probably sprinkle more and more and more and more as I continue to eat it because it's that good. It's the simple things in life, ladies and gentlemen. I encourage you to enjoy them. Now, what would I pair this with? A lovely glass of wine. That's what I would pair it with. This is delicious. It is gorgeous. Its aroma is fantastic.
It's not really something you can make and store, though. Like, I guess you could eat it the next day, but I wouldn't go much further than that. It's kind of a make it fresh and do the thing.
It's probably not something to serve on a first date. Spaghetti in general really isn't a good idea. And you're going to have spinach in your teeth, and it's just a thing.
But if you each have the same amount of garlic, then it's okay.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the secret to it. So this is one of those just really super simple meals that you can make any day after work, or if you don't really feel like cooking much. You can use fresh beans, like dry beans, and make the beans yourself if you really want to. You can use fresh spinach if you really want to, but this method just really, really works. So go ahead and make this. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on The Bistro.